And I'm also operating on like 3 hours of sleep, so this is going to be fun.
Hey, same here.
Yeah, everybody's tired.
I'm tired, but that's just because I'm tired all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I got enough sleep.
You're running on E for enough. Hello, and welcome to Supernatural Selection. I'm your host, Kevin. With me this week are Mike the Skeptic. Mike, how are you today?
Enough.
Mike, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you.
One of those is a lie. You tell me which one.
No. And we've got Mr. David Davis. David, how are you today?
I am also operating on very little sleep, but that is because of the cat that you hear behind me.
You've got a horny cat today.
Yeah, it's a very, very horny cat right now.
Horny cat problems.
Oh, God.
And it's not like in the fun anime way.
No, it's not all-purpose cultural cat girl nuku nuku or anything. It's just Zelda.
It's the ship the cat to Abu Dhabi way.
Oh, normal. Okay. So,
wow. So I got to pause for a second because the cat knocked an air conditioner off of the windowsill.
Holy shit.
Boy.
Yeah. Keep rolling.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay. So while David does that, Mike, I'll go ahead and start with the thing that we do, the housekeeping. So first off, the zine. We're still taking content.
Submissions?
Yes, thank you. Again, no sleep. Submissions for the zine. You can find all the information you need at supernatpod.rocks/zines.
Yes,
and,
the zines.
Yes, the zines. And you can, like we said, art, prose, poems, and as long as it's cryptid related. And again, the weirder and more esoteric the cryptid, the cooler it is.
Yeah,
so,
we just got 2 new short stories in, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, that's
so they're
awesome.
They're coming in. They're coming in.
Yeah, so get your stuff in by, when's the deadline, David?
June 30th or some shit like that.
June 30th or some shit like that. Details at supernatpod.rocks/zines. So, guys, we haven't done this in a while.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, we were reading comments, and it's always great when it's a bad comment.
Well, most of them lately have been pretty good.
We have had some very good comments, except for the one also on this YouTube video that said, wow, unlistenable. But this one was on Cosmic Death Fungus, and I was excited because it's a long one. It's from user at Cogito6437. Now, I'm going to read as much of this as I can stand. And first off, I say stand. I'm happy we have the comment.
Well, and here's the thing, before we get into it, like a good portion of it is complimentary.
Yes, he's not being a douche. He's actually really nice about it for the most part. So,
but it takes a very, very interesting turn where it's like, oh, okay.
Which, you know what? I'm just glad we've got discussion going on. So, Coogie6437 YouTube user posts, these podcasters are definitely some characters, and I definitely had some chuckles listening, even though they were clueless. I know they have good hearts deep down, but don't waste your time listening to their clueless banter. This podcast is a waste of time, capital W in waste. Only reason I found it was searching my podcast app for anything I could find on CDF NAC, which was the Cosmic Death Fungus regiment. But yeah, the CDF NAC protocol, because it literally is one of the best protocols I've ever done. I literally just searched YouTube to see if this was here so I could leave this comment. I've been practicing holistic medicine for over a decade. I also dive deep esoteric knowledge and read over 100 books a year and listen to at least one podcast a day. No, I'm not a Q person. Thank you for that, by the way. I'm an OG biohacker.
Oh boy, red flag.
It's not that I want to live forever or have some transhuman bullshit agenda. I just want to be the best version of myself and feel good without drugs or alcohol. You know what? Good on you for that. I don't watch sports. I don't eat garbage. I don't watch TV, and I don't waste my time. I also don't have TikTok brain like half these younger generation.
No, just a little bit of a
little ageism.
Ageism, yeah.
Like, is he accusing us of having TikTok brain?
I don't know, because
so.
I'm like pushing 50, and I still don't really get TikTok. I get on there and then go, apparently TikTok wants me to watch people pop zits on the back of their ears, and when did people stop washing their ears? Anyway, people are completely hijacked by fungus. They literally infiltrate our hormone systems and give the host huge hits of dopamine every time they are fed. That's why people have such hard times with cancer, weight loss, addictions, etc.
It's called being human. That's our brains are literally...
No, Mike. It's being human because we have the fungus.
No, that's called reward. What's it called? It's Pavlovian. It's
Yeah, because of the fungus.
Yeah, no, it's not the fungus. It's just the way our brain chemistry works.
Okay, but after one of my friends, who is a very well researched and respected health nut / alchemist and successful entrepreneur, shared how much CDF NAC changed his life, moles fell off, eyesight improved, brain fog lifted, energy levels went up, etc. I was sent the protocol and tried it.
Here's the thing. We can't say we consulted our local alchemist.
Actually, we do. And no, I did not consult her.
Oh, you have a local alchemist?
Well, I'm guessing she is. She's everything else. She gave me a JO crystal.
She's a Reiki healer.
She is a Reiki healer. She is Mississippi's certified Reiki healer. I keep saying licensed like there's some higher board you go to pretend to give someone a massage. Anyway, in the last year, I have done more detoxing than most do in a lifetime. After 6 liver gallbladder cleanses, 1 heavy metal detox, yeah, you gotta get the Slayer out of you, 4 parasite cleanses, and fast regularly, I started Protocol. I only saw Protocol and didn't even know there was a 247-page PDF attached. About halfway through my second bottle of black seed oil, I felt clarity like I've never experienced, and only detox symptoms I experienced were some acne in the first couple weeks, then super clarity. Then hit a couple more pockets of funk. I feel like a completely different person. I no longer feel like a prisoner in my own body. Diet recommendations of Protocol is paleo, so that was easy for me. My entire life has changed for the better since starting CDF NAC Protocol. I've picked up a daily yoga practice. I feel much more calm, no racing thoughts, or monkey mind. What is monkey? Is that like sex crazed? I don't know what monkey mind is.
I think it's just being, I don't know,
Mike,
baser instincts.
If you have monkey mind, do you fling poop?
Probably.
Okay. Don't let this podcast throw you off the trail. Try it. You'll see. These podcasters should try it. I guarantee they will feel like dumbasses and erase this podcast. I never shat like a goose.
I love the direct quote.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm really glad you actually listened to the episode. Seriously, I'm so happy you posted this. Taking oil every day in that small a dose is actually very healthy. Black seed oil is known as the miracle oil. The combination of omega-3, 6, and 9 with thymoquine and the carvocrol in the oregano oil, which must be steam distilled or CO2 extracted, kills off fungus, and high dose NAC converts to... God, these words.
This is a very, very long comment.
Yeah.
We're still reading the same fucking comment.
This is the same comment, yeah. And high-dose NAC converts to glutathione, which is a master antioxidant, and helps assist liver with die-off, which that is some troubling words there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not in a cult. I don't sell these products. I have no affiliation with whoever came up with this protocol. All I know is that it worked really well for me. If you're super toxic, probably best to go slow or slightly lower dose and potentially add some binders. You don't clean a house with a tornado. Slow and steady always wins the race. Sending love and blessings to all. Followed by what is either a flower emoji or a butthole. I'm guessing it's a flower emoji. But honestly, Coogie6437, thank you for that comment. Like, it shows that someone's listening, and regardless of your opinions, thank you for listening. We appreciate the comment.
Yeah, I mean, number one, we got at least 2 views out of that because they had to listen to it, and then they had to go to the YouTube page, so that, hey, that counts. But then also, like, did they see how many listens we have on the episode on YouTube? It's not a lot. We're not that big of a threat.
Yeah.
I appreciate the energy expended, though.
The reason is because when you search for cosmic death fungus, we are either the first or second Google result.
Hell yeah.
So
we are
we're the go-to.
Undisputed authority, and that's very scary and not actually true at all.
No, I'm horrified by the idea.
I would not call us an authority. So, no, anybody, we don't claim to have all the answers or any of the answers.
I mean,
really.
Thank you for the comment, but like, we do think you're wrong, but that is no reason for you to stop what you're doing.
And that's
you do you.
Mostly our opinion, man.
Thank you, dude.
Yeah. But I mean, so these the things he describes as having, I guess we don't want to get too far off into this, but but I've heard plenty of people doing any kind of, life changing, they decide to get their shit together and, change.
You're going to feel better.
You're going to feel better about it. Especially
you're going to feel like shit, and then you'll immediately feel better afterwards.
Especially, it really can boil down to if you're, exercising, one, that'll bring all kinds
yoga.
Of, mental clarity and feel goodness. In fact, I was reading a thing that their scientists are starting to think that, a lot of hormones, that's the word I'm looking for, hormones that make us feel good come from
fungus.
Well, no, come from working our muscles or are helped by working our muscles.
No,
so that's why,
sense.
Everybody, me included, needs to probably exercise more.
You know what? I'm going to try this detox things he's talking about. I'm going to order like a 40-pound bag of sugar-free gummy bears.
No, that's a colon cleanse. That's a different thing.
Trust me, whatever's in me, it's going to be gone when I'm done. Well, we're going to have a LA Beast moment.
That's a wholly different can of
it's
snake
not holy.
Oil.
It's unholy.
The whole, cleanse your colon for, better health. It's like your colon knows how to clean its own house.
Yeah, it's called poop.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
John Wayne didn't have 40 pounds of impacted feces in his intestines.
4 maybe, but not 40.
Not even 4.
Yeah, it's a joke.
If you have any impacted feces, you're gonna look. I've had it before. I hit a point due to a UTI.
We took it to the hospital.
I was basically terminally constipated. Like I was rolling on the bed and in complete agony in my guts.
I just want you to know that's how it felt watching Dune, and you wouldn't change the channel, just rolling on the bed in agony.
And and that was not a lot of poop. That was just basically a normal amount of poop that just would not move anymore.
How many Corics was it?
Oh God,
I don't know.
Well, look.
So having more than just your average BM's worth of poops not moving is going to be very unpleasant.
Yes. It's like when they do those videos in the sewers of those drain clogs with all the wet wipes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, or the frozen pipes that the ice starts pushing out slowly.
Yep. Well, guys, we have talked about this comment for 15 minutes now, so we're going to move on. to the actual topic of the episode.
Look,
Again, thank you for...
This whole episode isn't about that comment?
No, believe it or not. I actually intended to wait for the weekend weird, but let's move on. So, this week's topic is Ghostlights.
Is that like a Ghost Rider?
Kinda. The Henry Rollins version of the song.
Ghostlights people up and down the boulevard?
Ghostlighter! Anyway, so I started this episode intending just to talk about the Brown Mountain Lights and the Marfa Lights here in the U.S.
Speaking of a brown mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what Mike had. But after doing some research, I ran into a couple of problems with those topics. First off, almost every story about both of these is largely the same. I saw lights. Second, there's not a single verified case prior to the early 1900s, possibly late 1890s. And we'll talk about why that's important when we come to those two. But that is why I had to expand this episode and why it was delayed. I broadened my field of research into ghostlights in general, and I found a fascinating phenomenon all over the world. Now, that being said, we'll be looking at the subject in two categories this week, the old world and the new world, and we'll get into specifics in these two topics. Now, our sources this week are Unexplained, 3rd edition by Jerome Clark. Now, it's kind of fun using the 3rd edition this time instead of my old 2nd edition. He actually combined several separate chapters into his Ghostlight chapter and expanded it with newer research from, newer as in 2012, but nonetheless newer than what I had access to. So, again, 3rd edition, still worth it if you're not down for UFOs. It's mostly cryptids and strange phenomenon. Second source is Australia's Strangest Mysteries #2 by John Pinkney. This one has a lot of just general mysteries, like what happened to the kidnapped kids, but it also has a
section. Did dingoes really eat that baby?
That might be in there. So, but it had a section about the Min lights, and we'll get to the Min lights toward the end of the episode. I also used way too many Wikipedia articles to name. Seriously, you can just look up anything we talk about in this episode and probably find a Wikipedia article about it. So I encourage you to do so. At times, I do cite the specific Wikipedia article with a link. And also, just in general, my readings and stories since I was like 3 fucking years old. I've seriously been exposed to Ghostlights since I was a little kid.
Christmas lights, too.
Fuck you, man. Fuck you and the Christmas tree. So, before we really get cooking here, have you guys got any experience with a ghost or a spook light? Do you have any personal stories from you or your families?
Nah, man. I live in a perpetual band of darkness that is my mental state.
Oh, God.
In all seriousness, I can't think of a time I have seen strange lights, but, shadows, on the other hand, yeah.
Okay, we're going to do an episode about shadow stuff at some point, because I got some stuff to talk about with that, too. Mike?
So, I'm pretty sure you put this here because you know what I'm going to say. So, other than the watch on the dresser,
yes,
thing, which we've done before, and I think I've also mentioned my dad's story, that he said when he was a kid, he on his bike chased a kind of glowing blue orb that when he saw it. So one of my favorite movies as a kid was The Explorers with
River Phoenix was in
River
that.
Phoenix and
Corey Feldman?
No, not Feldman.
It wasn't Corey Haim.
I think it might have been Haim.
I'm gonna look that up while you tell this story.
But he said he when he saw that movie, one of the things is they make a so the kids have all have communal dreams that tell them how to build this circuit. The circuit turns out it can make like a force field kind of thing. While they're testing it out, it makes like a little blue sphere that flies through the woods. And my dad always said that that's what he saw as a kid, what it looked like.
That's really cool. I love that story.
I mean, I have no idea what to make of it,
Yeah.
me being me, but, that's what he said.
Yeah.
And my dad was, kind of a believer. Like one night he had like sleep paralysis and swears he heard, like radios, like, walkie-talkies outside the house. So, I don't know.
Well, I have a theory about that, but we'll wait till the end of the episode where I talk about that.
Okay. Well, I have my own story, and I may have talked about this on an episode before, but we'll go into it again because it is now prescient. I personally haven't seen anything that I would identify as a ghost light, but my dad did. A lot. So, let me explain. My mom and dad and I used to watch Unsolved Mysteries and Sightings. You remember Sightings? Came on Fox like right before the X-Files.
Yeah.
And we would watch In Search Of all the time. And after one episode, when I was young, they were talking about, I think it was the Marfa lights, and I expressed some incredulity at the idea of ghost lights. And Heyman told me they were real, and I asked, well, how do you know? So, when my old man was a kid out in Scott County here in Mississippi in the 1940s, he said him and his friends would go out to play after dinner and would end up at the cemetery down the road. David, I'm sure this sounds completely reasonable to you.
Oh, absolutely. That's where all my favorite people are.
Yeah. Mike, would you go play in a cemetery?
I have. I wouldn't nowadays, but...
Sure, but when you were a kid.
Sure.
Okay. Do they even actually have those in Louisiana? I thought it was like all mausoleums and shit.
It's all above ground, mausoleum type, small, like not really big ones. Talk about basically the size of like a little shed or something that, you stick the coffin in, and the next time someone in the family dies, well... You just
stack them.
You dump all the bones out into the bottom, and you stick the next coffin in to, I don't know what happens if you get like a bunch of people die one after the other.
I don't know.
But, that's...
How many can you fit in a coffin? Like 2? Anyway.
Yeah.
Just toss me in the swamp.
So, honestly, I know the cemetery he's talking about, which also, when I was doing research into this, I had to look up the difference between a graveyard and a cemetery. A graveyard's attached to a church. Anyway, it's just down the road from the old homestead, and it's full of our ancestors. There's a lot of Haymans and Lingles down there. And it was, at the time, constantly shrouded in darkness due to being just inside the woods on the side of the road, and it was surrounded at the time by a wrought iron fence up until a few years ago. Now it's just a cyclone fence. It's also, in the creepiest turn of events, across the street from another cemetery.
Ah, the cemetery district.
Yeah, I know. It's just, and that's the other family, which I've never had any experience with that family, but like in my head, we had a feud.
Well, wouldn't it be great if they still had like a ghost Hatfield and McCoy situation in the graveyard?
Oh yeah, they're just shooting at each other with muskets. That'd be great.
It'd be like going on the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland in the graveyard scene.
Oh God. So anyway, I can picture my dad and his friends out there dodging around headstones, playing some culturally insensitive game about colonizers and natives, if you know what I mean. Anyway, he said just as the sun would set, a light would often appear among the headstones. He said it was about the size of a basketball and green, and it was blurry around the edges, and would bob and weave around the boys, and the headstones would dart away from them and towards some of the other boys like it was playing tag. And my dad and his friends would have a great old time running around chasing and being chased by this green light until it either got too dark and too late to see, or the light would fade out, or sometimes it would drop into the ground into one of the graves.
This sounds like a fucking Neil Gaiman book.
It kind of does.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad finishes telling me this, and I'm just staring at him. I mean, he didn't tell the story with any kind of spooky preamble. He didn't try to make it sound creepy. That's all me. He just told me this story like he was explaining how my mom made the wrong fucking kind of sandwich. And my reaction to this day has been, how the hell are you going to act like playing with a ghost is a normal activity for a kid?
Back when you can get a house on a high school dropout salary and gas was under $1 a gallon.
You know, it's funny because my dad was a high school dropout that sold gas at my mom's gas station sometimes. So, obviously, I've kind of been fascinated by the concept of Ghostlights since I was a kid because of this. Mike, what do you think of that story?
Like I say, it's kind of also with my dad's story. I don't know what to think.
Yeah. I mean, you know my dad, he was not given to flights of fancy.
But, you know, they both happened to kids, so.
And there was still lead in the gasoline.
So, reliable narrators, you know, kids are not.
Yeah, but.
It's cute as hell, though.
Sure, I guess. But, I mean, I just think it's funny also that both our fathers had stories about orbs.
Yeah, and our father and Kevin and I's fathers are not close in age.
No.
Like, I was my parents were 18 when I was born. Kevin's parents were.
I was highly unexpected after my mother thought she couldn't have children anymore and my sister was getting ready to start high school.
Wow. Yeah, I would assume there's probably at least 20 or 30 years between my dad's age and your dad's age at comparable.
Like you said recently, how old did you say your dad would have been this year?
He would have been, so he's 18 years older than me, so he would have been 50, thinking here.
Or 60.
60, maybe?
Yeah, my dad would have been in his, heading toward 90, so.
Yeah, he would have been, 8, that's carry the 1.
Oh my God.
No, what would 47 plus 18 be?
Oh God. Yeah, it's 65 or 6, somewhere in there.
Mid 60s.
Yeah. So, let's get started, though.
Okay.
We're going to start with the old world. Now, a lot of these stories I know about Ghostlights originally stem from the old world, Europe and the UK mostly. And a lot of these stories I was able to dig up involve the concept of corpse candles, and this hails from all over Europe and the United States. Have either of you guys ever heard of these?
Yeah, the Pokemon Litwick.
Really?
Yeah, I posted a little picture of them in the script.
Just rip off them damn yokai. Mike?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay. Well, strap on your shoes. It's time to get out at Grandma's and learn.
That was a very, very forced transition. Holy crap.
God,
I love it.
So tired.
Strap on your shoes and put on your galoshes and put on your coat because we're going to be raining knowledge on you.
At Grandma's.
Grandma's.
Anyway, let's get ready for some fucking hot wheat. These are lights of differing descriptions and colors that appear over a location, either shortly before someone dies or marking the location of a corpse after they have died.
It's also pretty common iconography in some video games.
How so?
Besides I'm thinking Pokemons. I'm also thinking some MMOs and that sort of thing where like a player character will die and there will be like a light above where they died.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So, I've got a couple of stories from Unexplained from here in America, actually. Well, the first one's from here in America. So the first one. Quote, more than 300 years ago, Nathaniel Crouch wrote in the English Empire in America, 1685, that the Indians, pardon the terminology, this is old shit, quote, have a remarkable observation of a flame that appears before the death of an Indian or English upon their wigwams in the dead of night. I was called out once about 12 o'clock and plainly perceived it mounting into the air over a church. You may certainly expect a dead corpse in 2 or 3 days. Now, we also have this story, again, from Unexplained. It's a story from R.C. McLagan in the West Highlands of Scotland, if you couldn't tell from that name.
No shit.
Yeah. Should I do an accent when I read it real quick before we get there?
I
don't think I
want
should.
you to.
Okay. I might. I'll start it and we'll see if I can
If you
keep
feel
going.
like it's getting off the rails and getting into like hate crime territory, pull up.
Hey, it can't be worse than James Doohan. Anyway, so Highlands of Scotland, 1897, and related from a local of Islay. So if you're into Scotch,
You want a really mouthful of smoky peat.
yep,
That's where you go.
smoky dirt. One time lights were seen moving above at night at the rocks. This is terrible. One time lights were seen moving about at night on the rocks of the shore near Kilcheeran. Shortly after that, a vessel was wrecked there, and the body of a man was washed ashore at the spot where the lights had been seen. One time lights were seen on Lacandal between Bowmore and Blackrock. Man, why couldn't it have just been Bowmore and Blackrock? I can pronounce those. Not long after that, two young men were crossing the loch on a small boat, and at the place at which the lights had been seen, the boat was capsized, and the two lads drowned.
Could you imagine the panic you could instill with a flashlight if you time traveled back a couple of centuries?
No kidding.
Yeah, again, it reminds me of that sketch from Robot Chicken, Assholes with Time Machines. Yeah.
I also appreciate, like, you were maybe, like, 3 or 4 words into the accent. I could just hear your mental panic, like, oh, no, this is not going well.
It's bad, and I'm too tired to hold it together, so... Next, after that, we have the stories about fairy lights, will-o-wisps, and jack-o'-lanterns. These interest me. These are all a luminous phenomenon said to appear to travelers at dusk or at night, and to lead the unwary from the beaten path. Those that follow are led into the swamps or moors and are never seen again. Now, probably the most famous of these stories is of the jack-o'-lantern. And if you're wondering, that's short for Jack of the Lantern, just like will-o'-wisp is short for Willie of the Wisp. These are stories about individuals, and they're both very similar, but I find the one about Jack to be way more interesting to me. And the best version I can find about it is actually from the Wikipedia article on will-o'-wisps. So here's what that has to say. An Irish version of the tale... Okay, I'm sorry. An Irish version of the tale has a ne'er-do-well named Drunk Jack, or Stingy Jack, who, when the devil comes to collect his soul, tricks him into turning into a coin so he can pay for his one last drink. When the devil obliges, Jack places him in his pocket next to a crucifix, preventing him from returning to his original form. In exchange for his freedom, the devil grants Jack 10 more years of life.
If you have the devil like there in your literal pocket, you think you could ask more than just 10 years?
Oh, you're staying in my pocket, you fuck shite.
Ooh, you got me again, Jack. Good one.
Oh, I'm gonna keep you right here, you fecker.
At like 20, come on. 20,
Yeah,
50.
20 at least, something. So, when the term expires, the devil comes to collect his due, but Jack tricks him again by, and I'm trying to figure out how this works, making him climb a tree, then carving a cross underneath it, preventing him from climbing down.
It's the devil. Can he just jump?
Yeah. No. Here's what you do. Here's how it's done. Bet you can't climb that tree.
You bitch. Bet you can't do it.
Climb that tree, I'll duel you in a fiddle contest.
So we need to do one about devils and musicians. So in exchange for removing the cross, the devil forgives Jack's debt. However, no one as bad as Jack would ever be allowed into heaven. So Jack is forced, upon his death, to travel to hell and ask for a place there. The devil denies him entrance and revenge, but grants him an ember from the fires of hell to light his way through the twilight world to which lost souls are forever condemned. Jack places it in a carved turnip to serve as a lantern.
Same thing's going to happen to Bugs Bunny.
Yep. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think a wily dead Irishman roaming the countryside forever, luring people to their dooms is both spooky and kind of badass. It's also shockingly in keeping with a lot of the Irish folk tales I've read.
Well, it's also in line with the archetypical Jack in like so much folklore. Did you gentlemen ever read Fables by Bill Willingham?
I have not.
Okay, so in that you have the character of Jack Horner, who was the Jack of so many of those stories and legends. So Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack and Jill, all of that.
Okay, well, I just find it interesting because Jack was like, just a slang term for man, which is why you had like Spring-Heeled Jack and Jack the Ripper.
And Jack of all trades.
Exactly. So, every man Jack of you,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was slang for dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it could be a Dudo Lantern.
Dudo Lantern sounds like a goth club.
It kind of does in
For
Germany.
like male strippers.
Mike, would you go to Dudo Lantern?
No, I think I'll pass.
Okay.
I think you'd be popular there. You got the bear energy.
Kinda.
Bear energy.
And I mean that in a good way. So, mainland Europe. Let's move on to the mainland. And we're going to start with folklore. I'm treading on your toes, David.
Oh, go for it.
Okay. In European folklore, legends hold that the Ghostlight is the spirit of unbaptized infants roaming the land since they, again, can't get into heaven and have decided to take it out on mortals by luring them to their deaths. Usually in swamps. We're gonna come back to that.
Jim Henson's Swamp Babies.
God, okay, thank you for the MST reference. I'm very happy. So next we have what we're gonna call location lights. These are reports of recurring lights on the continent. Now, location lights are interesting because they may be reported for a decade or a century or more in one specific location, but they can and often do stop. And I have no explanation for this. In Europe, for example, we have the Hesdalen lights, which is new. This was in 3rd edition. I didn't know about this. So the Hesdalen Valley is a nearly 8-mile valley in central Norway near the Swedish border. And before you ask, it is not a fjord.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It's not densely populated. It's got maybe 150 people living there in total. But in 1981, the inhabitants of the valley started getting a hell of a show. Now, I need to note that there were infrequent sightings of lights in this area dating from the 1940s, but it was fairly rare. And I'm going to once again quote, unexplained, because he's such a better writer than me. So, quote, at times, the lights appeared as often as 4 times a day, often below the horizon along the mountaintops, near the ground, or on the roofs of houses. Usually white or yellow-white. They typically were shaped like cigars, spheres, or, quote, an upside-down Christmas tree. Fuck off. Fuck off.
I love it.
You got it worked out?
Yeah. I had to take a moment there.
I think I have something to say.
Yeah.
Ha ha.
Fuck off. Assholes.
Hey, you weren't the only one seeing Christmas lights in the sky, man. Take comfort in that.
Bite me. In this last instance, according to minor... Oh, God.
Yeah, okay, give it a try.
Bjarn Lillevold. I think I got that. According to minor Bjarn Lillevold, It was bigger than the cottage beside it. It was about 4 meters, about 13 feet, above the hill and had a red blinking light on it. There seemed also to be a curious blanket over the whole thing. The object moved up and down like a yo-yo for about 20 minutes. When it was close to the ground, the light faded, but at the height of the maneuver it was so bright I could not look at it for long. When the light was near the ground, I could see through it as though it were made of glass. Occasionally, according to other witnesses, a red light maintained a position in front. The lights hovered, sometimes for an hour, then shut off at extraordinary speed. Most of the time, they traveled from north to south. I was trying not to go Russian there.
So what is it that you have against the people of Norway that you persisted with the accent beyond the quote?
Because I have played Skyrim so much, I never don't hear in my head, "Hey you're finally awake." You got caught in that ambush like the rest of us. So, there. Actual Norwegians doing Norwegian accents. So, investigations into the lights came up inconclusive, with experts arguing between, Mike, you're going to love this, earthquake lights, some form of electromagnetic phenomenon, UFOs, and fairies. The experts.
Yes.
Now, it's also worth noting that this was only seen in the valley. It was in none of the surrounding areas. The lights were seen at their height 15 to 20 times a week. But after 1984, they dropped down to maybe 10 times a year. Today, I don't know. I couldn't find any updated information, but I find it interesting that for a period of about 3 years, this place was hopping with ghost lights.
I think you mean twinkling with ghost lights.
Oh, now we're just getting into semantics. So, Mike, what do you think about that? Like, I know you're a skeptic, but like, that's interesting phenomenon. In general.
Well, I mean,
again, this could be earth lights or earthquake lights or something. Because, Norway, that whole area, Iceland and all that, it's geologically active, right?
Maybe. I mean, it's volcanically active for sure.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't know how they are with like earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but
And so here's the other problem is that, us being more modern, we are more desensitized to lights.
Yeah.
There could be like a lot of natural phenomenon. We just,
we don't see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or we see it and we're like, oh, we see that's lights out all the time.
Oh God. What if we'll get it. I'll bring this up later. So let's talk about Asia and the Pacific region, shall we?
Do not do any accents.
I am not.
Thank you.
Now, I wanted to go and do some research into Hawaiian ghost lights, but I just didn't have time. So we'll do another follow-up episode about ghost lights that I didn't have time to get into here later. But for now, in Asia, we have tons of accounts of ghost lights leading travelers, again, into swamps. The Alea in Bangladesh, the Hitodama in Japan, yes, a yokai, and the Dokebi of Korea are all similar flames and glowing orbs that draw people from the old familiar roads to die or vanish in swamps and marshes.
Wouldn't it be amazing if it was just fireflies being vindictive dicks?
So I was just reading about the worldwide drop-off of the firefly population, and I would buy that.
Yeah, that's nothing concerning at all. An entire species just suddenly having a dramatic drop-off. We weren't...
Like the bees.
It's not like it happened with the bees, right?
Yeah. So, as for China, I'll quote the wiki article. The earliest... Man, I know you're all sitting there going, is he going to do it? Is he going to do an accent? The earliest Chinese references to a will-o'-the-wisp appears to be the Chinese character Lin, attested as far back as the Shang Dynasty oracle bones, depicting a human-like figure surrounded by dots, presumably representing the glowing lights of the will-o'-wisp, to which feet such as those under Wu to dance were added in bronze script. Before the Han Dynasty, the top had evolved or been corrupted to represent fire, later further corrupted to resemble rice, as the small seal script graph in Shuozhen Jizi, compiled in the Han Dynasty, shows. Although no longer in use alone, Lin is in the character Lin phosphorus, an element involved in scientific explanations of the will-o'-wisp phenomenon, and is also a phonetic component in other common characters with the same pronunciation. Chinese polymath Xin Gai may have recorded such a phenomenon in the Book of Dreams, stating, quote, "In the middle of the reign of Emperor Jiayu in Yanzhou in the Wanzhou province," I butchered that one, "an enormous pearl was seen, especially in gloomy weather. At first it appeared in the marsh and disappeared finally in the Xingkai Lake. It was described as very bright, illuminating the surrounding countryside, and was a reliable phenomenon over 10 years, an elaborate pearl pavilion being built by local inhabitants for those who wish to observe it."
Now who's doing etymology in their episode, bitch?
You, all right? I learned it from watching you.
No, now I know how you guys felt when I was going over all the terminology for supernatural things in Japan.
Yeah, welcome to me in Mike's world, bitch. Now, before we go into the new world, though.
How the tables have turntabled.
Yes, very clever, Professor, but not clever enough. Now, before we go into the new world and some explanations, we're going to take a quick break. So, we will be right back after this. Hi everyone, this is Kevin from Supernatural Selection. Are you an independent creator? Do you have a webcomic or an Etsy store? Do you 3D print things? Or are you just looking to get some word out for your Discordian cabal with social terrorism? Well, we'd love to help. And David, I believe you've got some details about how we can help.
Why, certainly. If you go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, that is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact, you can learn how to advertise with us.
That's right. I believe the rate is $2 per episode. You can't beat that with a stick.
I mean, trust me, we've tried.
Yeah, that's cheap. That's literally cheaper than dirt.
Mm-hmm. And best of all, if you're not sure how to write an ad, we'll do it for you. We'll even record it.
Absolutely. Just let us know what you need in the ad, and we'll be happy to do that for you.
And again, that URL is supernaturalselectionpod.com/contact.
And now, back to the show.
Hey there, if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're probably into cryptids and monsters. Well, if you have a creative spark, you can always join us in our first ever Supernatural Selection zine project. For 2024, we are doing cryptid encounters, where you can draw or write a encounter with a cryptid of your choice, and we'll put it in the zine. The current submission window is from early January to late June. If you're interested in finding out more, you can always go to supernaturalselectionpod.com/zines. That is ZINES. Now back to the show.
And we're back. So, how are you guys, Mike, David, feeling about Ghostlights right now?
Illuminated.
Oh, you fucker.
I feel uneasy. I don't know.
Really? Okay.
No, I don't know how to feel.
Are you turgid yet?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
Even after the description of those orbs?
They don't get me chubbed up, no.
No, the orbs aren't doing it for you, huh? Well, that's okay, because we're going to start talking about the New World in this section. This isn't just the U.S. and Central and South America. This is also going to include Australia, because it's newer, and boy, have they got probably the coolest Ghostlights. But let's start with boring old America first.
Well, also, knowing Australia, their lights are either criminals or extremely poisonous.
Trapdoor Ghostlights. But, yeah, you'll see. You'll see. It's interesting. So, as mentioned earlier, the U.S. has some history with corpse candles. And we also have your typical legends of the will-o-wisps, leading travelers astray, like the Louisiana Fifole, or the lights in the Bridgewater Triangle in Massachusetts. Speaking of, hello, spooky dice bag. So, what we really have, though, is a fucking plethora of locational lights. The Brown Mountain, oh my God, English. The Brown Mountain Lights of North Carolina have been seen concretely since 1913. And I say concretely because there are later accounts claiming there are earlier accounts going back to pre-Columbian times with the Native Americans. These stories, if you do the research, are second, third, or fourth hand, and often are from books of questionable research that just keep getting cited as facts.
Yeah, like half the sources we have to dig through.
Yeah, it's like reading about the Bermuda Triangle. So the lights have been reported as various shades from white to yellow to orange to red, and will often be seen along the mountain or just above the mountain itself. They move horizontally and have been known to divide in two and then merge back into one while changing colors. There are several places set up along where you can stop and observe the lights at night, and the local towns, of course, use them as a tourist attraction. Now, the problem is that the lights are sited along the old railroad and along what is a highway on the mountain. The colors cited in modern times that I read earlier kind of match the colors of the lights on a car. And prior to that, it was very likely the light on the front of a train.
Okay.
There's also some interesting lights that occasionally play over the mountains, like I said, but these could also be explained by earth lights or, I don't know, some kind of atmospheric lensing or something. Mike, does that make sense?
I mean,
like the lensing thing?
That would be something at a greater distance. Like you're talking about,
We're talking about on the other side of a mountain.
Yeah, I mean,
you're on one mountain, you're watching another mountain.
We're talking about like dozens of miles and things. So I don't know. It depends. I don't know the distances involved there.
Yeah, I don't really know the distances either, but I'm just throwing that out there. Well, thank you though. As science officer, I appreciate that.
And this is just, kind of gut feeling. Like I don't have data to back this up, but generally, with you think of like, well, I guess it could be it. So it depends on the temperature differential. Heat haze and stuff could do it closer, but then you have, talk about like a temperature differential in the atmosphere.
Yeah. So at any rate, experiments have been conducted that have replicated the lights.
Interesting.
Using both car headlights and with a light from one of the nearby towns shone onto the mountain, and the effect of the lights being recreated with this.
Fine, we'll make our own damn lights.
I just think it's interesting they did, completely recreate it with, apparently the Brown Mountain Lights are just Meemaw and Pop's Buick Skylark. So, there's also the Marfa Lights in Texas. But, again, these are spotted along a flat with a highway running through it, where the lights are seen. The reports date back as far as automobiles, with the pre-European sightings being concocted after the fact. Again, the lights are used as a tourist attraction.
Okay.
One place with a surprising number of ghost lights is Missouri.
Missouri.
We're going to talk about two of them in particular, though. The most famous is the Missouri Spook Light near the town of Hornet. It's seen along Route 66 and is, again, red, yellow, or white spectral lights seen in the distance.
You're talking about the Missouri Horny Lights.
Yeah. That's dirty. So, legends tell of either a dead Native American maiden seeking her warrior brave husband in the afterlife, or a murdered Native American chief, or two Native American lovers looking for each other after being murdered, or you get the idea here, guys. It's a lot of dead Native Americans.
That's American history, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, most of the ghost lights we've talked about so far in the U.S., the two we talked about, all of them have dead Native Americans attached to the pre-Columbian versions. Now, the actual report to the light, the Missouri Spook Light, don't start until 1926 when Route 66 was opened. So you can see where this is going again.
Yeah, people really freaked the fuck out over car lights having never seen them before.
And I can get that, you know?
Well, it's like the people who saw that first, movie of the train coming towards the screen and were like, what the fuck? Why is there a train in the theater?
Actually, you know what it reminds me of? Starlink satellites at night freaking people out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, one I've had told to me, secondhand, but, from a witness to this person to me, it's a bit less well-known, is the Zenith, Missouri Ghost Light, which is near, Zenith. And it's close to an actual Crybaby Bridge. So it's just got a lot of spooky shit out there. You guys familiar with Crybaby Bridges?
No.
Basically, you go out to a bridge at night and you hear a baby crying.
Look, I've been out on the street and hear a baby crying, okay? Babies just cry in weird places.
Are you... you look under your car, there's a baby.
Well, I think
there's a baby in the engine block.
Baby cries carry really far.
Are you suggesting a baby crawled into the engine block for warmth like a cat?
I've been laying in my bed here and heard a baby crying outside somewhere.
Okay,
I think weird. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to apologize. That was me dealing with existential dread.
Unless you went outside and down the street, it was not you.
Yep.
Well, usually these Crybaby Bridges are notable because they're in a rural area. There's not a whole lot around, so you're driving over a creek bed, and there's woods to either side of you, and all of a sudden you start hearing the crying of a baby. Well, I mean that's pretty fucking freaky.
Mind you, I have heard some cats that sound like a baby crying.
Yeah, there's cats, or mama, didn't want to wake the husband up because he's got to work in the morning, so she takes the baby out on the porch and rocks where the rocking chair is and rocks the baby to sleep.
Oh, I thought this was going to be a lot darker.
I really thought it was the baby was waking the husband up, so she took it out to the bridge and dumped it in the river.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
Because a bridge denotes there's some civilization nearby, so
okay,
probably
that's
houses.
Fair. Sure.
Nobody builds a bridge, that goes nowhere near other houses.
Well, yeah, but I'm with a lot of the Crybaby Bridges. It's there's it just seems out of place to hear a baby in that specific area.
We need to talk about ghost not ghost haunts. That's what ghosts do. Rural haunts.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway. Unlike
Talk
the
about
other
ghosts.
Ghost goats.
Goats. What?
I fucked that up.
I just said ghosts.
Right? What freaks out a ghost? Another ghost.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So, unlike the other lights we've covered here in the United States, the Zenith light is said to only show up when you drive down the road it's on. If you park your car, and I've heard this about other ghost lights, but this is the first one I've heard about, almost firsthand. If you park your car and flash your headlights 3 times, the light will appear and interact with your headlights.
So you give it the Tony Orlando special.
Sure. There are stories of it coming, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
There are stories of it coming up to your car and actually burning the paint.
Wow.
Now, strangely, in the last few years, the light has either reduced in activity or completely disappeared, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I've had a lot of trouble. What's that?
No one since the advent of smartphones has seen and documented
Well, I'm
the
talking
light.
about the last 5 years. So, I guess that's during COVID. But I've had trouble finding current information on it, but it's worth mentioning anyway because it's kind of cool. And if anybody has any information about the Zenith light, what's the email address again, David? My brain.
team@supernaturalselectionpod.com.
Thank you. I was sitting here going, it's not feed. Why do I keep wanting to say feed other than being hungry?
And it also goes to show, potential contact with the spirit world, and our impulse as a culture is to play jokes on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just
sense.
how it is.
I mean, it sounds like something Zach Bagans would do with his car.
Yeah. If he would ever leave the American Southwest.
Yeah, the fucker. Anyway, so South and Central America have a vast number of lights to choose from, but most of them are sort of the vengeful spirit variety.
Hell yeah.
They're either La Llorona, the ghosts of unbaptized infants again, or sometimes, and this is a new one for me, a demon grandmother who raised her children and grandchildren without morals. And they're mostly like other ghost lights in that they appear off the road and draw people to them, never to be seen again, but sometimes they drink your blood.
As they do.
There's a lot of blood sucking in the south of the border area here in the Western Hemisphere. Now, I don't mean to make short work of two whole regions of the Western Hemisphere here, but first, I had trouble finding English language sources for these. And second, this is still not my full-time job. If I had all my time to research, I would have dug into this more. And I'm sorry to anyone that feels slighted here. That is completely on me, and I apologize.
Completely fair.
Thank you. At some point, I will get more information. We will talk about this again. And I feel bad about it because there's like a whole culture of ghost lights down there I cannot access at the moment. So let's talk about Australia.
Good day.
Good day, mate. So, the Min Min lights. The last group of lights that I want to cover are these Min Min lights in Australia. Now, the Min Min are named after a hotel where the most famous sightings were first reported. Maybe. It might also be derived from the Aborigines language. There's kind of some confusion about the origin, especially since a Min Min hotel might be named from their language. There's no telling.
Mm-hmm.
Everything down there has weird names like Goomwalla, so... At any rate, the Min Min lights are unique to our story here because they often are reported to seem curious about the people that see them. Yes, Zelda. They'll show up often from out of a rock or the ground itself, follow some lonely traveler, and if approached, they'll run away and then run back to you. They're even reported to straight up taunt and play with animals, specifically dogs. There are a lot of reports of Min Min lights chasing dogs.
I wonder if we're going to get a Bluey episode about that.
Oh, that would be badass. And this isn't just sightings in the distance either. A lot of these experiences will be within a few meters, like 3 to 6 feet away. And the lights, there's also and I didn't put this in, there's also like a buzzing or humming sound associated with the Min Min lights. The lights range in color from blue to green to white, but other colors are known to happen. People that encounter the Min Min will also tell of a feeling of an electrical charge in the air when they're near them, but also this uncanny sense that there's something intelligent controlling them. That's nearly universally agreed on by people that have encountered them, that they feel like this thing is interacting with them on purpose. Now, another difference is that the story of the Min Min lights actually do start with the Aborigines. They've been seeing them literally for thousands of years and talking about it in their legends. They warned the first settlers about the Min Min lights, and they say their frequency has increased since white people have arrived on the continent.
Turns out they were a warning about Europeans.
You know, you might not be wrong. Sorry, a bug flew onto my microphone.
Min Min.
Min Min! So, these lights are also interesting in that they're seen out in the outback, like deep in the bush, like in the 1800s, like early 1800s and later. We're talking off-road territory where it's difficult, but not impossible, I will admit, not impossible, to mistake headlights for a seemingly intelligent light.
Out in kangaroo country.
You know, I like to think that there's like something that looks like an oil field, and it turns out they're just, God, what's the wine we have called, Mike? With a kangaroo on it?
Yellowtail.
Yeah, it's just a yellowtail field where they're pulling it up from the ground.
The little kangaroo workers. So cute.
Good day, sir. We're just getting this wine out the ground. So, let's go to one story from Australia's Strangest Mysteries number 2. I'm going to not do an accent here.
Aww.
I know I did the... There's someone that comes into the store that might listen to this at some point from Australia, and I do not want to piss him off that badly. So, another Min Min witness was Ted Baines of, Yellarbon in Queensland. He told me he'd sought a hiding place after a pulsing globe of brilliant light had chased him along a rural road. It was a dark, wet night. I was near Warwick, walking along the main highway, when I felt a car had caught me in its headlights. I turned around, ready to jump out of the way, and saw a bright yellow ball hovering several feet above the ground, approaching me at quite high speed. The thing was so strange and uncomfortable feeling that I didn't wait around. I took shelter under a bushy tree from where I watched the ball. It was just across the road from me, moving around and radiating light. Curiosity finally got the better of me, and I walked over to get a better look. But as I approached, the sphere vanished, and the night was pitch black again. Now, Ted Baines and his wife saw a similar Min Min light in the 1950s when he was working at Gurley Station, south of Moree, New South Wales. This one seemed to move incredibly fast, hovering in one spot for up to a minute, then whizzing off somewhere else. Frankly, I found it to be very frightening, but the overseer insisted there was nothing to worry about. He said it was known as a Paddy's lantern in those parts. It had been seen around the district as far back as anyone could remember.
I can't believe they got an Australian to talk so much without swearing.
Oh, God.
Probably your editor.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, because he didn't call anyone the C word once in there.
Yeah, no instance of fackin'.
Yep. So, let's discuss some of the possible explanations for what has been seen here. Okay. All right. So, first off, swamp gas.
Mm.
Yes, really. I'm pulling a J. Allen Hynek. You'll notice how many of these things appear to lead people into swamps. It's very, very likely that people were and are seeing ignited swamp gases and went to investigate and got sucked down into a fucking bog. Now,
in a creek?
A boggy creek? So, Mike, I do have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who or what the fuck is lighting swamp gas on fire, because if it's a ghost, I'm going to laugh my ass off.
Well, I mean, normal answer would be lightning, or we saw that video recently with the ladies with these, all the static coming off of them.
Oh, yeah. Could just be static electricity igniting it?
Yeah. Could be something like that, atmospheric condition, if it's particularly dry. I mean, there's just all kinds of, the world's a weird, wild place. Here's something I've learned. If you have something like flammable, odds are something will set it off at some point.
Like a person.
Or, just anything.
See, I was curious about that because, okay, J. Allen Hynek said UFOs are swamp gas, and I'm like, yeah, but how? So thank you for the explanation. I finally understand. Now, swamp gas explains some, but not all ghost lights. So, earlier, I mentioned earth lights, which are not the same as earthquake lights. Now, earth lights are a concept proposed by two different men, independently of each other, Michael Persinger and Paul Devereaux. Now, the theory is that geological stresses cause electromagnetic effects that manifest as luminous objects and other things. See, Persinger's theory suggests that UFOs and monsters like Bigfoots happen because of these stresses anywhere on the planet. They don't have to be directly over or near a fault line or another geologically active area. He also maintains that the electromagnetic anomalies when applied to the human brain causes the abduction experience, which some experimentations in laboratories have proven, yes, that can happen. So, Devereaux, on the other hand, now I want to point out, this guy is saying that geological stresses cause Bigfoot sightings. Like, I have seen a lot of weird shit, but, like, I ain't never seen an electric spark that looked like the Patterson-Gimlin footage. I just need to put that out there. Devereaux, on the other hand, says that it only happens near fault lines, but that there is an intelligent force behind it. He claims we're dealing with an unknown intelligent force within the Earth itself. Or something. The talk about this gets really goddamn confusing.
I live on a fault line, so I am fucked no matter what. I either die in an earthquake or hallucinate from the discharged electromagnetic energy.
That would be kind of badass, though.
It's fair.
Like, let me know if you see, like, an electric Bigfoot.
Electric Bigfoot sounds like a great band name.
It does, God. They'd be a great cover band. So, the problem with both of these theories on the Earth lights is that they're explaining something unknown with something else unknown. You're using the paranormal to explain the paranormal. You're basically saying that aliens are ghosts dressed as Bigfoot.
Yeah, but see, they wrote books about it.
Whoopty shit, I could write a book about my ding-dong, but I'm not.
It'd be a short story.
Oh, fuck you. I knew that was coming as soon as I said it. So, now the thing is, that is completely different from earthquake lights, which is another explanation. Now, on the surface, you could be excused for confusing our last subject with earthquake lights. Now, the difference is that earthquake lights happen shortly before, during, and shortly after earthquakes. They happen only along fault lines, and people have reliably seen them. There have been some photos. While there is a scientific basis behind earthquake lights, they are still not 100% accepted as a scientific fact. Still, there is enough evidence for me to give it the benefit of the doubt. Now, the problem with associating this with ghost lights is the sheer number that don't happen anywhere near earthquakes and fault lines. But given that some reliably have been sighted near mountains or geologically active areas, there's no reason not to say that some of these ghost lights are earthquake lights. But again, not all of them.
How have I not seen any of these fucking things? There's been 2 earthquakes in as many months here. Or is it like exposure therapy in that it looks like the fucking Aurora Borealis outside my apartment and I just don't notice it?
Oh, you're like Donna Noble in Doctor Who. You're always just not looking in the right direction.
Right? No, because we've had like we get a lot of earthquakes out here. A lot of them don't amount to much, but I can recall feeling like 2 distinct, like, oh nope, that was an earthquake. I sleep through most of them, but there are a couple that I felt.
Now, like, see, I kind of agree with Mike that maybe we're desensitized to lights.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also think about it too. The further back you go, the less artificial light there was at night. So therefore, you just had better night vision.
No light pollution.
Yeah, you were just inundating your eyes with light all the time.
Yeah, you weren't staring at a fucking computer monitor.
Fucking Starlink.
Well, even that, I'm just talking about, like, in the evenings.
Yeah.
You didn't, you had a crappy flashlight that didn't really work too well, so you'd only use it if you needed to. So, most of the time you're traipsing around by moonlight.
Or you did like most people did back then. You went the fuck to bed. My dad.
Yeah, that too.
My dad, when the power would go out, we'd sit there in the dark and nothing happening, and he'd just out of nowhere go, I don't see how the hell we did this. So lastly, we come to vehicle lights. Not like earthquake lights. Like I said before, a shocking number of American ghost lights are seen at a distance, and when scientifically analyzed, they match up with traffic flow and train schedules. Now, given the effect of the atmosphere and weather conditions, and I've seen some interesting lighting effects myself, I can totally believe living in a rural area, seeing what seems like a spooky light on the mountain, and then just losing your shit and running into town, ranting and raving. I mean, hell, that's kind of my retirement plan.
Hell yeah.
And the reason those legends in particular persist... excuse me, frog in my throat. The reason...
You mean our mascot?
Yes.
Frog facts.
Frog fact. There's an Enrique in my throat. So the reason those legends in particular persist is because of the almighty dollar. These towns are desperate for money in some cases, and I don't blame them for keeping the story going. It's fun. It's like a haunted house at Halloween. You don't go into the thing expecting the real Freddy Krueger to jump out at you. It's just kind of fun. But again, that doesn't explain all of them.
Well, just 99% of them. We call the remaining 1% podcaster country.
Is that like flavor country? So, what have I personally learned from all this? Well, I'm going to paraphrase J. Allen Hynek, who I mentioned earlier. If we can explain, say, 97% of all ghost lights as mundane sources or slightly bizarre natural phenomenon, that's no reason not to give the 3% we can't explain further study. Also, I don't know that I care what is causing that 3%. Sometimes, guys, I get depressed.
No.
Big duh. I know. I get depressed at the world and the horrible things in it and what's happening in it. And I think about all these things. And I think about the things that I used to believe and that I don't or can't believe in anymore. But then I'll think about that 3%. And I think, maybe there's still a little bit of magic in the world. Maybe somewhere here there still will be dragons. And maybe, like Iris DeMint said, I'll just let the mystery be. So what do you guys think? How do you feel about Ghostlights now at the end of all this? And we've talked about some interesting stuff. We talked about your grandmother's sedan being a Ghostlight. You know, how do you feel?
What do you think?
No different.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You still headlights and swamp gas.
I mean, still, rational, explainable phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Not fairies or, will-o'-the-wisps or...
Well,
just kind of, interesting. Maybe some of it's not mundane like headlights. Maybe some of it is, some ball lightning effects or
bizarre.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's another explanation was ball lightning, which I could buy that too, given the electrical nature of some of it. But
yeah, just a lot of things that are not common, but not
ghosts.
Not ghosts.
Well,
and Ghostlight is anyway.
I really wish I could say if I've experienced stuff like this. It's like a very mundane but magical thing. That story about your dad playing with the ghost light in the cemetery, like that's beautiful. I would love to have had an experience like that.
Oh, same here.
Yeah, instead I get traumatizing shadow bullshit. But but no, I had mentioned earlier like my kind of theory on this, and I think this kind of gets back to our episode we did on the idea of the superstructure and how things that weird phenomena changes from generation to generation.
It wears different masks. It's one phenomenon wearing different masks.
If the ghost lights are like the Fae or some extra dimensional entity, that's the form they took because that was the weirdest thing a human could probably conceive of at that time in the mundane rural world. Now we have, Men in Black and all that shit. So it seems to me like
Give me your pen.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff it's showing curiosity, or it's just kind of like a weird thing, a weird vibe in the distance.
Yeah,
you could put a different coat of paint on it.
Now, I personally I find the Min lights fascinating because honestly, it sounds like the thing my dad saw.
They sound like fairies. The Min lights sound like fairies. It sounds like the behavior of fairies. If you read a lot of fairy lore, it just
right. I'm just glad I haven't had a shadow experience. The weirdest thing I had happen besides ghosts and UFOs is like something stole my donut.
No, I have. You're plagued by the light. I'm plagued by the shadow.
Oh
no! Like legitimately, like I have not seen ghost lights or anything like that, but like it's shadows that I've seen, and it's freaky shit. Like.
Well, one of these days I'll tell you about what happened to me out in Raymond with my friend Austin, and we'll talk about that in a Shadow People episode sometime.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So, that's it. That's the episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
I liked it.
Mike?
Yeah.
You enjoy it?
I mean, it's an interesting discussion.
Yeah. And, like I said, I firmly accept that a lot of this is mundane or bizarre natural phenomenon, but there is a small percent that is fucking weird. So, I don't know if I care what it is. I'm just glad it's there.
Well, and that's also like, with all the other stuff we've covered, there's always going to be that small percentage that we just cannot explain, and that's where the fun in all of this is.
Oh, you know?
And maybe the ghost lights aren't the most exciting thing in a lot of ways. It's just, again, I use that word mundane, but it's kind of like that mundane sort of mystery of the world that makes the world feel like a better place to me.
Well, it's one of those things you can go out to like the observation areas at, Marfa and Brown Mountain, and if you want to believe it's ghost lights, have fun, man. Just go look at the pretty lights up on the mountain.
Yeah.
Look at the lights over the Arby's.
There are 4 lights.
Oh God. Okay. Yep. There's our Star Trek. Did we get a Futurama reference in this week?
Why does everything taste blue?
Okay, there we go. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. David, you got any plugs?
Yeah, just go ahead and, we're on, Blue Sky now.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so you
what's the account?
So our account is at supernatpod.bsky.social. That's bsky.social. Currently, I don't know what the fuck you call a post on Blue Sky. I'm Skyping, I guess.
No, you're bluing.
Yeah, I'm bluing.
Blue yourself.
We're really bluing up on Blue Sky. No, what I'm doing is more or less every day I'm going to be posting a link to a previous episode to kind of work our way through the archive. I've been just trying to get in touch with the Blue Sky creeper community. Currently, I have an artist that I'm following through the account that posted a mantid named Josh. Like, as in, like, mantid, like we cover on the show.
The mantis cucks, yes.
Yes. So, this artist, I'll just name him, at carl.rip, is making portraits of the entities that visit them. And,
interesting.
He's very proud of finally getting his orb license. So, that's cool. It's cool. Okay. It's neat. Yeah, and, I found a bunch of, like, very custom feeds for weirdos like us, so I'm going to see if we can network that way, because that's cool.
That's cool. Yeah. And again, you can find Mike, have you got any plugs?
I have spark plugs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they cool?
Not really. I mean, they're just normal spark plugs.
Okay. Well,
that's it.
Good day then, sir.
Good day.
Good day then. You can find us on Mastodon at supernatpod at weirdo.network. And you'll find links to our individual mastos on that account. If you want to learn more about the show, you can head to supernatpod.rocks. That is supernatpod.rocks. You'll find a link to our Discord, our YouTube channel, our blog, our Patreon, and our whole back catalog, including the distraction hole, is there. And you can get in touch with us if you would like to advertise on the show. You can use a contact form on the site or contact us at team@supernaturalselectionpod.com.
When is Spooky Dice Bag going out?
That one I don't know. It's couple months in advance.
Oh yeah, you guys plan ahead. Okay.
It's not so much that they recorded a bunch of episodes before they ever put it out, unlike a certain podcast I'm involved with you guys. So yeah. Again, thanks for listening. I cannot thank everyone enough for your support. Again, we are current on YouTube. If you would like to follow us on YouTube, just look for Supernatural Selection Podcast, and you'll find it.
We'll read your comments.
Yeah, obviously. Actually, we had a good comment. Hang on. Let me get that pulled up. We shared the bad one. We're going to share the good one at the end of the thing. Mm-hmm. If I can get my phone to come up. Sorry.
So this is going to be me vamping for airtime while Kevin's looking it up. So, remember you can always check out the zine at supernatpod.rock/zines. We are accepting submissions. We got a bunch in. We can always fit more. The bigger the zine I can make, the happier I am. I want that work. I will take that work upon myself. So please, give me that work. I crave it.
Yes. All right. I have found it, and thank you for bringing up the zine again. All right. So this was on Cancer Wolves. The Cancer Wolves we did week before last. User is Loser3492. Whew. All right. Puppies with goat horns sound sick. Not gonna lie. You guys rock. Please keep up the podcast. I hope you guys will get more traction. Love this.
They say loser, but it sounds like a winner to me.
Yep. I tell you, man, that makes me feel really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a nice little shot of dopamine.
Yep. And I'm also going to go back and like the other comment too. The one about the cosmic death fungus. So, thank you, everyone. Don't forget you can support us on Patreon. We got more content coming. I'm going to be streaming on Monday on our Discord. Unless I can get another platform going. I have plans within plans. Traveling without moving. Shy hello.
Are you walking without rhythm?
I am. I'm walking without rhythm and walking without rhythm on sunshine. Whoa.
Lisan al-Gaib.
God, you engage both. Just keep chanting that. So, we will see you guys next week with more shambolic garbage with another weekend weird.
Oh, and don't forget the distraction hole. We'll be probably talking about Dune on the fucking distraction hole, that's for sure.
We're going to be talking about Dune, Akira Toriyama, and several other things. So anyway, keep on the lookout for that. We'll see you guys next time. So until then, stay safe and stay froggy. Goodbye.
Ooh-wee,
Defend democracy. Okay, damn it.
Oh.
Defend democracy.
Ooh-wee, look at me. I'm a little ghostlight. Ooh, I'm so curious.
I want to smack it now. I just want like a fly swatter
don't
and
do
squash
that.
it.
My name's Stuart the Ghostlight. Look what I can
You're
do.
gonna die. God damn it. Damn it. Look what I can do. I hate that. Mike, you were saying something?
The Defend Democracy was a preview of something else I'll talk about next.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is.
Mike's joined a militia.
Yep, pretty much. I'm the baddie.